Welcome to the Perimenopause Playbook, a place where we explore the fascinating intersection of neuroscience and interior design to support the cognitive health of women in perimenopause and menopause. I am Lola Ajayi, an interior designer on a mission to share my findings on neuroscience for interior design with protocols and ideas that support and enhance the cognitive well-being of women during this transformative stage of life. Join me as we delve into the fascinating world of neuroscience for interior design and discover how we can create spaces that nurture and empower women during this important time. Let's design supportive spaces for a healthier mind, a healthier body, and a healthier soul together.
Happy New Year to everyone. I am late to the party. I feel like everyone else has said Happy New Year to everybody, but it's January 4th and it's still early days. So Happy New Year to you. I hope you had a lovely and restful holiday season. I spent my December 31st with the usual evening routine, my usual perimenopausal woman style routine of decompressing at the end of the day with my candles, some breathing exercise and meditation, and then I fell right asleep. I slept right through the fireworks that usually ushers in the new year. I didn't even hear it. And this is most likely because my sleep hygiene and newly restarted intermittent fasting benefits have started kicking in again, because I did sleep quite deeply, and which was amazing. And it was amazing that my brain was not having any distractions, which is a perfect segue to today's podcast episode on brainwave states, which I've titled Brainwave States, a simple way to understand your mind and feel in control. So let's dive right in. But first, just a backstory to why I decided to do a series on brainwave states. It's super important for people to understand how our brains work, and there's so many dimensions. There's so many different ways that we can understand the brain. It's such a fascinating organ, and it plays such a crucial role in our mental and cognitive well-being. So ever since I started exploring neuroscience for interior design, so it's back in 2019 at PCA Paris College of Art, I have become completely fascinated by the human brain. And it's been such an amazing journey of discovery, with just one amazing discovery after another just happening to me, and it's been mind blowing, and it's been very humbling to have all of this information and all this knowledge right there and applying them and seeing that, science for me, I am a dreamer. However, I respect science as a way to explain phenomena that happens in our body and in our environment and in our world, basically, in simple, quantifiable terms. And that's what neuroscience is helping us understand, how our bodies and our brains work, the connections between the two. Let's not digress too much. So early last year, I started taking my meditative practices more seriously. I had been meditating for years and years, but I never really was consistent. Sometimes I would follow a 14-day meditative practice and then just leave it. But recently I've been doing it. I've been consistent with my meditative practice for about more than 6 months now. And that, taking it more seriously and becoming more aware of the way my mind works, has led me down the rabbit hole of being interested in brainwave states, because the subject of brainwave states had come up, and I was like, what are brainwave states? And so I started to dig. And while I was digging, I discovered some really incredible things that have opened my eyes and deepened my practice and understanding of myself, on my understanding of my relationship with God. And I am so excited to share some of them with you today. So if you've ever wondered why there are some days where you feel super clear-headed and calm, and there are other days when your brain just feels like mush. That is your brainwave states communicating. That's the activity of your brainwave states. And in simple terms, your brain works in patterns, kind of like musical notes in an orchestra, with rhythms that change depending on the environment, the triggers in your environment, what you're doing, and so forth. So in this episode, we're going to explore your brainwave states and how you can understand them better to help make your life easier and be more balanced. If you're going through perimenopause or postmenopause and dealing with sleep problems, mood swings, or just trying to keep everything together, this episode is so for you. We're going to break down all of the information in a way that's really easy to take back and implement in your everyday. We're also going to explore, we're going to dive into, we're going to break down what these brainwave states are and how they influence your daily life and how you can implement them in your home to support these brainwave states or go from one brainwave state to another. And this will greatly help your cognitive and emotional balance in perimenopause and postmenopause. So let's dive straight in. So I'm going to be a teacher and just highlight the 5 brainwave states and how the roles that they play and how they impact you and how we can get in or out of them, right? So our brains operate on very different frequencies depending on the activities of the moment or our state of mind. And these brainwave states, they influence how you think, how you feel, and how you respond to your environment. So the first brainwave state is the delta wave state, which is usually between a frequency of 0.5 to 4 hertz. Think of this as your deep rest brainwave state, and it's the slowest brainwave state, and it's dominant during sleep. Now, this brainwave state is essential for physical and emotional recovery. It is the time when your body repairs itself and clears your mind of all the junk, all the junk of the day, consolidate your memories, and so forth. And why is it important for us to understand this? Insomnia, which is a common symptom of perimenopause and postmenopause, can stem from disrupted delta wave activity. There's a whole nuance to this, but I'm just going to keep it simple. If you're not sleeping well, like many of us, as a result of, say, heightened cortisol levels, inability to relax in the evenings, or the activities that you engage in before you go to sleep, it is harder for these brain waves to do their job. And that's why sometimes you wake up tired. And I didn't mention things like waking up in the middle of the night from a hot flush and not falling asleep easily after that. There is a whole episode on sleep quality, sleep hygiene, where I talked about, particularly for women in perimenopause and postmenopause, I touched on the presentations of peri and postmenopause and how they affect our sleep quality and how you can take control of your sleep quality. And delta waves dominate deep sleep. So I'm just going to share a quick tip here, but by all means, go back to look for that episode and listen to it. So what can you do to help this brainwave state? Prioritize a restful bedroom environment that supports delta brainwave activity and improves your sleep quality. Make your bedroom your place of rest. Your bedroom is a place where you go to rest and recuperate and recover. So no phones. Declutter that space. Keep it cool, keep it dark. And even a simple habit like meditation before bed, I highly recommend meditation. And sipping chamomile tea or lavender tea can greatly help you transition into your sleep state. There's so many other things that you can do. Listen to the episode, and you would be happy that you did if you're dealing with sleep issues. So that's that on delta brainwave states. Let's move on to the second brainwave state. That's the theta wave state, and this usually is in a frequency of 4 to 8 hertz, and they appear during light relaxation practices and creative thinking. If you've ever noticed how great ideas pop into your head while you're in the shower or just staring out the window, that is your brain in theta wave state. But if you're always rushing around and you're not giving yourself time to, enjoy the small moments, you might be missing the magic of theta wave state. So how can you trigger this brainwave state, and how can you benefit from this theta brainwave state? Give yourself quiet moments during the day. Maybe you could take 5 minutes out of your day to just sit and breathe. Breathing exercises, back to meditation, back to mindfulness. And you can encourage this by creating intentional moments of zoning out through the activities of taking a quiet walk. If you're close to nature, take a walk in nature. You can take some time out to journal or breathe, do breathing exercises, and all these activities will stimulate your theta brainwave state. Now that's for theta brainwave states. Let's move on to alpha waves. And these alpha waves, they show up when you are peaceful, like when you're sitting by the ocean or after a good stretch, and it's between a frequency of 8 to 12 hertz. Now, alpha wave states are tied to calm, focused relaxation, which is perfect for unwinding or creating a light meditation practice. And why do these matter in women in perimenopause and postmenopause? Stress levels, heightened cortisol levels can push alpha waves out of the picture, which then leaves you feeling tense all the time. And when life feels overwhelming, boosting these alpha wave activity can help you regulate your emotions and find balance. So what can you do to boost alpha brainwave states? You could try simple practices like deep breathing exercises or listening to subliminal sounds to help you relax when you're feeling stressed, or even closing your eyes for a minute and just being quiet for a few minutes. These can help to bring these brainwave state back. And so that's that on alpha waves. Let's move on to number 4, which is beta wave states. And beta wave states are usually between a frequency of 12 to 35 hertz. And these are your brain's work mode waves, and these drive active thinking and problem solving. So when you're making decisions, or you're paying the bills, you're doing your finances, or you're managing family schedules, beta waves are running the show. Now, why is this important for us in peri and postmenopause? Too much beta activity can leave us feeling anxious or overwhelmed, especially if we don't take breaks. So it is necessary, while beta waves are necessary for productivity, excessive beta waves can lead to heightened stress and anxiety. So what can you do to lessen this and use it only for when you need to be productive? While you're working or you're in deep work mode, learn to take pauses. Step away from your desk, step away from whatever it is you're doing that is causing, that's keeping you in that brainwave state, and step outside for some fresh air, or go have a tea, or meditative practices. Anything that help to calm these beta wave states would be really helpful. And a really important tip here is to create clear boundaries, such as designated workspaces for where you need to work, so that these environmental cues, I talked about these environmental cues in interior design and how you can use them for your benefit in another episode as well. So when you create designated zones for, say, in this case, work, Once you're in that work mode, your brain goes into beta wave state and you are productive. But in order to break these up and allow your brain to sort of come back into equilibrium and go out of it so that you're not hyper stressed and hyper anxious, we need to move from zone to zone. So, for instance, if you're working really hard and you're really hyper focused and your stress level is really high, step away from your workspace and into a zone you have created for rest and relaxation. And you would see when you're training your brain to recognize these environmental cues, you will start to notice the subtle shifts. It's subtle, but they have really big impact. So this will help you manage your overactive beta wave states and reduce burnout. Now that's that on beta wave states. Let's move on to gamma brainwave states. And these gamma brainwave states are anything above 35 hertz. And the role they play is they are, first of all, they are the fastest brainwave state, and they're linked to high level cognition and peak performance. These gamma wave states are the fastest, and they show up when you're focused and you're learning something new. These are your aha brainwaves that help you connect ideas and create novel ideas and be creative at your creative best. Now, we all need this. I mean, any woman in her 40s, I know for myself that I'm reinventing my career. I'm 46 years old, and while I'm still in the field of interior design, I'm reinventing myself. Yes. And it is in this time period where we're reinventing ourselves that we really don't want to lose our ability to have new and novel ideas and learn new things and so forth. But as we age, because of the presentations of brain fog and losing a train of thought and being influenced by a sudden onset of heat flushes and so forth, we start to worry that we would lose our ability to call upon these gamma wave states, as it were, on a whim. But we can mitigate this. We can do this by first thing that something you can do is to challenge your brain. Challenge your brain by reading books. Challenge your brain by doing puzzles. Challenge your brain by you can learn a new recipe, learning a new dance, learning a new skill, or read about something that you're curious about. And this is where I am an advocate for having a physical library in your home. Every client that I have designed a home for, I champion the cause for having a library because that's sort of my jam. And I remember when I was growing up, the house where I grew up in, my dad had this floor to ceiling library of books with all these beautiful encyclopedias and his psychology books, my mom's medical books, and just all kinds of books. And I remember always gravitating towards that corner and just absorbing all of the information. Sometimes I would reread the same subjects because I loved reading about sharks. I loved reading about reptiles. I loved reading about dogs and cats and elephants. And I always went back to that space. And I believe this played a huge role in how sharp I was as a child and my love for learning as an adult. Well, it's never too late to challenge your brain now to learn something new because the brain is so plastic. The brain is not a fixed organ. It's what you put into it that you get out of it. So if you're constantly challenging your brain would adapt to what you give it, right? So challenge your brain, guys. Challenge your brain. So a hot tip that I can offer you now is to design your environment to encourage gamma activity, like a library, for instance. And this would support your mental sharpness as we grow older. There are many other things that you can do to encourage gamma brainwave states, but if you want to know more, you can get in touch with me and we will talk about it. So yeah, so that's that on brainwave states. That next in line is we're going to talk about your home and your brainwaves, how they work together to enhance your cognitive health. Stick around. Now, here's something really, really cool and fascinating. Your home can influence your brainwave states. Now, the spaces where we live, they do more than just look beautiful. You know, they can help you feel calm, focused, and creative. They can be used as tools that help you create environmental triggers that create desired outcomes that you're looking for in particular spaces in your home. And this is what the perimenopause playbook is all about, using your home environment as a tool to support you and giving you control over your space. So you get to choose how you want your space to support you. So having said that, let us explore parts of some interior triggers that you might use to create desired outcomes for yourself. So let's start with lighting and your mood. So I did do a podcast episode on natural light and your mood. But I'm just going to touch on it really quickly here. So it's just, I'm going to barrel right through the triggers and the outcomes that we're looking for. I've elaborated on these points in previous episodes. So on lighting and your mood. Bright sunlight in the morning wakes up your brain, while soft warm lighting in the evening signals that it's time to wind down. I'm just going to I'm going to touch on this really quickly because, it bears repeating anyway. When you wake up in the morning, your brain needs to release cortisol to help you get your day started. And the best way to trigger early release cortisol is by getting photons into your eyes. And by photons, I mean the photons are I'm trying to remember what it's called again. When you look at the sun's rays, the rays of the sun contain photons, and when they enter into your eyes and interact with the retina translates it to your brain, and these photons are really great for triggering early day cortisol. And you can get that by going for early morning walks when the sun is still at a low angle in the sky. It's really important to know that it is low angle sunlight exposure that you're going for, not midday sunlight exposure. And please do not stare directly at the sun when it's high in the sky. Your eyes would not thank you for it. Okay? So early morning sunlight is really good for waking up your brain. And if you notice the day as it winds down towards sunset, you notice that the sun takes on this beautiful orangey glow, and that signals your brain that it's time to wind down. So nature is the best teacher for lighting. Circadian rhythm lighting, there is a system of lighting design called circadian lighting. If you can afford it, by all means, have a lighting designer design circadian lighting systems for your home. You will thank yourself for making that investment. And if not, you can always simulate circadian lighting it will take a bit more effort, but it's well worth the effort. I don't have circadian lighting design in my space, but I do wind down by following all of the strategies that I share in my podcasts. And it works a treat. So open your curtains first thing in the morning. Go for a morning walk if you have a balcony. Sit on your balcony with your coffee or your tea. And switch to low-level lighting in the evenings. Avoid the use of harsh overhead lighting that simulates daytime. And you don't want that when you're trying to wind down to fall asleep. So that's on lighting and mood. Let's talk about clutter and brain at rest. So A clutter-free space acts like a spa for your brain. And because we're talking about sleep here, I'm going to give a case in point that is talking about sleep because sleep is really important. So a clutter-free bedroom is kind of like a spa for your brain. And with fewer distractions in your room space, your delta waves can work their magic more effectively. So in the evening, set a timer to tidy up your space or make it a habit, a ritual, as it were. In the evenings, just rearrange your space, put away your clothing, put away your shoes, put your shoes in the right places, and that mindful action sets the tone for your brain to start to relax. And these small changes really lead to significant improvements. And my absolute favorite thing is to incorporating nature inside your interior design. So when nature inspired forms and shapes and colors, if you're not into plants or you feel like you can't keep a plant alive, that's fine. It's not all doom and gloom. If you can, introduce plants, use soothing colors, the blues and greens color family, or introduce a small water fountain. And these elements can bring tranquility, the tranquil environment of the outdoors into your home. It's another word for it is vibe feeling. So an example, something you can try is if you're not ready to invest in large plants. I've got large plants, but if you're not ready for that, you can just start with a small plant, one of the favorite plants, put it in your meditative corner, or introduce nature-inspired wallpaper. The list is endless, and there's so much that you can do, but you don't need to do a complete overhaul. The idea is to test and use, see what works for you, and then build on what you have. Small incremental changes are way better than going guns out and overwhelming yourself. We don't want to overwhelm ourselves, yeah? So try that for nature and nature-inspired elements inside. And when you make simple adjustments, just really simple ones, simple incremental intentional adjustments to your space, you can create a home that nurtures your mind and your well-being. Now, I just need to let you know that this journey of perimenopause, this journey of finding equilibrium, this journey of understanding how your brain, your neuroendocrine system, your body, and everything in between works in this time of life, perimenopause and postmenopause. It's not about finding perfection right now. It's not about finding perfection at all. It is about recognizing your needs, your unique needs, the needs of your body, your mind, your spirit, and making these small but incremental adjustments in order to nurture them. So it is really important for you to first be aware of what you need, and then do the research, and then implement. And as these things work for you, you start to mindfully add on, and your life just gets better and better. Your space gets more supportive and more supportive as time goes on. So how can you tune into your natural rhythms? The first tip that I have for you is to start your day calmly. I always start my day slowly. In fact, on a larger scale, I started my year slowly because I feel like, I don't remember who it was that said, but a really wise person said, go slow to go fast, right? I didn't want to rush into things. I felt this need to just start slowly, and that's probably because the beginning of the year feels like starting the day for me. So I didn't want to rush into the year. And the same applies for mornings as well. When you wake up in the morning, start it slowly. So instead of rushing into your morning, take a moment to stretch, meditate. I'm a Christian, so I spend the first moments of my waking up praying, practicing mindfulness and being grateful for a good night's sleep, a the not so good night's sleep, at least getting some sleep, just focusing on all the positives, setting my intention for the day. And then I get up, I stretch, and I enjoy my coffee slowly. So I move slowly into the day, and that sort of gives my brain time to recalibrate itself and get ready for the day. And starting your day calmly helps to activate alpha waves, which then sets a positive tone for a balanced day. Another tip number 2, is to take midday breaks or intermittent breaks. If you work from home, take regular breaks, especially when you start to feel overwhelmed. Step away for a few minutes. You can go for a short walk. You can practice deep breathing, meditative practices, or mindfulness practices, or simply sit in silence. And this pause will allow your beta brainwave states to rest, and it invites alpha brainwave states to take over. And the really cool thing about this is those environmental cues cue your brain to trigger the right kind of brainwave state for what you need it for. Isn't that super cool? It's just such a cool thing. So the third tip that I have for you is to unwind before bed. This is so crucial. So there's so many nuances to unwinding before bed. First is the lighting side of things, which I've discussed earlier, and there's an entire episode on that. And another thing is having a night routine, which I have also described. I believe that I talked about it in the episode on sleep hygiene and sleep architecture. So establishing a calming nightly routine that's consistent really helps you relax before bed. Dim your lights, play subliminal sounds. I love the sound of crickets and owls and rain and thunder in the evenings, depending on my mood. Other times I just love to listen to a sleep meditation where I'm in bed and I'm invited to take deep breaths or to imagine parts of my body doing a body scan. That's what they call it. A body scan is basically you just paying attention to certain parts of your body and intentionally relaxing them. And it's so amazing. If you have not started mindful practices before bed, I really encourage you to begin. You're going to be blown away by just how much it improves your ability to fall asleep and stay asleep. And even if you do wake up in the middle of the night, like I do, I mean, I've been waking up quite often recently. I think it might have to do with the fact that I'm low on vitamin D. I have not repurchased my D3K2, and that helps a lot with regulating my body's heat regulation system. So I'm feeling like that's one of the reasons why. And I also have not been using the sauna. I haven't used the sauna in like 3 weeks. And also heat. Using the sauna helps with regulating your body's temperature and your body's ability to manage hot flushes. It is known. I've tried it, and it's a game changer. So yeah. So anyway, back to the ability to fall and stay asleep. Even if you're woken up in the middle of the night with a hot flush and night sweats, and you get up, depending on how intense it is, it's easier to fall back asleep because of the practices that you have employed before falling asleep. And these activities, they signal to your brain that it's time to transition to your delta brainwave state, and it sustains that through the night, which in turn promotes restful sleep and getting back to sleep and waking up refreshed in the morning. I, for one, even though I have had more episodes of night flushes, heat flushes and night sweats that I'm happy or comfortable with, I always fall back asleep relatively quickly, and I find that I'm not stressed when I do have those episodes, and I always wake up refreshed. So yeah, so these practices are really helpful. Also, how you curate your sleeping environment is also pretty key as well. So yeah, So let's look at the bigger picture here. Your brainwave states are more than just a scientific phenomenon, right? They are your body signals letting you know what it needs and how it functions best. And the great news is you can harness them to support you. And another amazing thing, as you've already figured out, is that you can use your interior, your home environment to support that. As you can use your home as a tool to support it. And this is part of what, this is all of what we're teaching in the reinvention program that I'm working on. The doors will be open by the middle of February, and this is what it's all about. Learning to use your space, your home space, as a tool to support your cognitive health and wellness. So whether it's to slow down for rest or to spark creativity or to stay sharp on top of your game, your brain is always ready to help you thrive. You just need to know how to use your space and use tools to help it be at its optimal best. So in closing, this stage of life, this perimenopausal stage, postmenopausal stage of life, it's not about losing something. It's about reinvention. It's about understanding how our bodies, our brains, our neuroendocrine system is evolving and changing, and navigating that and harnessing that to empower us. It's about gaining a deeper understanding of yourself and crafting a life, a future self that feels just right for you. And when we integrate neuroscience research into interior design, we can create these spaces that actively enhance your cognitive health and your emotional well-being. So this is way beyond aesthetics. It's about functionality that aligns with your brain's natural rhythms. And so, that is, that's all I have to offer you today. I hope that it's been really helpful for you. So think of your brain waves as your partner in crime. And brainwave states, once you start to understand it no longer becomes a mystery to you, becomes an empowering tool for you. And when we understand them, it allows us to make these adjustments in our environments and our daily habits, and these can significantly enhance our well-being. Right, so thank you so much for spending time with me today. I hope that this foray into brainwave states helps you rethink your connection between your mind and your home environment. Again, you have everything you need to feel more balanced, creative, and in control. You are in the driver's seat of how you want your life to look moving forward. Until next time, be well and take care. Bye.